Good morning from Hawaii, everybody, and welcome to today's special edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And thank you all for waiting a few minutes. We're having a little technical difficulties while we got all our connections here up and live. And it was worth the few minutes wait because today's speaker and dear friend is just absolutely extraordinary. And where we're going to go today, and the topic is just so appropriate for the season that we're in, for where we're, I'll say, graduating into, but it's how we can use ancient information and revolutionize it, evolve it, and really bring it to what's current for all of us. So today's guest, and many of y'all already know him, is extraordinary Stewart Pearce, who's a legendary master of voice, a voice alchemist, radiance coach, and angel emissary. And we'll go deeper into that. But Stewart's list of accomplishments and who he's worked with is just a mile long. But he's worked with the Princess of Wales, Princess Di. He's worked with Marianne Williamson, with the London 2012 Olympic bid, and so many other people. But it's a testament to the radiance and to his ability of connection to illuminance and intelligence that serves all of us in a bigger level. So I hope that you enjoyed today's call. We'll get into Q&A a little bit later on the call as well. So if you have a personal question, don't hesitate to raise your hand. And to find that button, just look at the bottom of your screen for most of you, and you'll find a little hand that looks like it's waving. Just press that and I'll know that you want to ask a personal question. We're going to get to Stewart's special offer a little bit later, which with Stewart is always extraordinary. And in the meantime, I hope that you can take a deep breath, relax into the energy, into the conversation, into the wisdom that's about to be transmitted. And it's with that, Stewart, that I want to welcome you to tonight's call. Thank you.
It's wonderful always to share space with you. And again, just a subtle apology to you for keeping you waiting for 4 minutes. What's interesting is that the nature of what our conversation is this evening and the quality of information that we have to share with everybody is about the great shifts within the magnetic field of the planet. Oh, yeah. And I was experiencing a great shift in the magnetic field of my computer technology, even though my team were working for 2 hours earlier to get it all aligned. The codes weren't working.
Oh, interesting.
So I have many revelations for you about what that means in terms of, I don't mean what it means about the codes weren't working, but what it means in relation to, has anybody out there, John included, of course, has anybody said to you, geez, you know, my internet communications or my cellular communications are going crazy at the moment. I don't know how many people have contacted me to say, is there something wrong? Because the Earth's magnetic shield has been shifted, particularly since last Friday. And of course, we know that this is proven within the unique astrological configurations that are taking place. John, have you had any issues with your technology?
I've turned off my technology for the last few days, so that luckily I haven't.
Been saved.
I've been saved, yes. The sanity, some intuition told me to spare myself from that. But there has been communications that aren't received, or that seem to disappear into the ether, and computers that have been acting a little strange over the last couple of weeks, for sure.
So this is as a result of light particles moving through the magnetic shield, and they're photonic light particles. And, you know, so anybody may say, well, surely that's always happening, but it's particularly acute at this time. And as a result, exactly, Mercury is retrograde, says Sarah, who was with me over the weekend on this wonderful retreat that we did. And measured the extraordinary palpation of light that was taking place within our bodies. So although there we were, you know, many, 150 of us or whatever it was, online, we weren't seeing one another, but we could feel one another, and people were moving through extraordinary actions. However, the point is that this light is affecting our cells. And so it's drawing our cells into a very unique amount of acceleration, so that we can actually begin to really feel ourselves moving from the denser body that we've been living for so long, particularly held deeply by the karma in our situation, whether it be our family constellatory karma or our own personal karma, so that we can literally step forward into the portal of light that has been the great prophecy for us all. So there's a huge shift taking place.
There's a huge shift. I've noticed in my personal life the excavation of just the trenches of the well of all the transformation that I've been through. And it seems that whatever's left, those unresolved things, because I truly believe that we've gotten to a point that we could really move forward and progress as humanity and progress as individuals beautifully. But something is calling for a deeper refinement. Something is calling for just this pristine, crystalline type of existence, and it is excavating, and it feels like we've been through the allowing of that we couldn't see or feel or have awareness of, to really reveal itself through situations. And it does feel like there is forward progress, because we have cleared out so much in so many different ways.
I hear you, and I find it intriguing that we're still pondering, still hovering. And so the way that I've been producing the information recently is that we're really being given a remarkable opportunity, because we know that a cosmic reset has taken place, particularly since the beginning of the year, meaning to December the 21st, 2020. And of course, we've all been through this unique experience of COVID, which has taken us into the deep stillness that many of us who are spiritual initiates allowed to be evoked in our lives, knowing full well that if we lean into the universe, everything will be fine. Because the universe is completely self-organizing and completely self-correcting. Our bodies actually are completely self-organizing and completely self-correcting if we get out of the way, if we don't produce resistance, if we become continuating patterns of flow. And yet we're still asking, so what's getting in the way? My feeling is, you see, that we're being asked to step into the membrane of being human angels. And many of us are in doubt whether we have the capacity, the quality, the qualifications, the experience, or the simple nous of becoming a human angel, so that we can purely vibrate as strongly as we can a sustainable feature of love and joy and delight and ecstasy and an utter belief in the divine.
What would it take for us to get there? Or for people who are listening to this, it's like, okay, I'm calling into that, but we're being called into it, but how do I adjust? How do I step into that role? Because it has been part of my paradigm before.
There's only one way to do it, and that's that we all come and meet you in Hawaii. Your community, my community, we all come together and we spend 5 days steeping in the wonder of what we can create together. We're being asked to consider a quantum leap.
Yeah, and for me, part of the alchemy also, there's a claiming part. We're being asked to finally claim it and to own it and to walk it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, we know that our cells are triggered, meaning that we've all been through a mighty reset over the last 18 months, a mighty reset. And we're now almost out of it because of the staggering faith, courage, expertise of science, and our continuing belief, faith, and trust that all will be well. Right. We're almost out of it. There are cultures on our planet, God bless them. My heart goes out as I pray for them, where there is still a staggering degree of fear about the possibility of succumbing to what was seen as a deadly virus. And that's principally India and other communities. You know, at the same time, we know that there are indigenous peoples around the planet that have not even been touched by this thing called COVID-19. And it's not that they're living hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away from so-called civilized community. They're actually in interaction with people who traffic with the Western consciousness, who are constantly moving through all of the systems of organization, what we put into our bodies, what, in terms of the food and fluid substances, or indeed what we're thinking. And yet they have not been touched by COVID. It illustrates to us that it has come as an extraordinary awakening to the fact that the primary feature is that we are in fear.
Mm. Wow.
And that if we can release the fear,
Right.
and allow love to drench us, then the reset that is within ourselves clicks.
It's quite interesting because as the reset's going on, again, there's, for all of us, and again, I'll speak from personal experience, that I didn't seem to have a lot of fear about this COVID thing and what was coming through, what the results were, and everybody's having their unique experience. But subconsciously, we're also picking up on the collective fear. And so that's still running. And if we're picking up on it, it's running within us as well. But what can we do to transmute that? What is it that, and again, I understand that being in love and to getting to that vibrational congruency is really what's going to create the massive shift. But how do we bridge that when we're in the in-between state?
You see, I feel what we're touching on is absolutely unique as a tool, because we're beginning to realize how sentient we are.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm feeling fine, but what's going on around me? Why am I picking up this thing? Why have I suddenly moved? I woke feeling absolutely amazing. I drank tons of water. I've had a wonderful breakfast. I've done my workout. I've gone swimming. I've talked to my lover, whatever. Why am I feeling like this? And so we're beginning to realize how porous we are, how immensely sensitive we are. And so if we can detach, feel stillness and observe, we suddenly begin to realize that we're living unity consciousness. But the unity consciousness in that moment that we're observing is that our brothers and sisters are in travail. And we, I believe, are observing that, not because we become affected, not because we're being negated, not because we're being eliminated on some way, or not because our brothers and sisters are shrieking out to us in horror and fear and in pain. They're calling to us so that we can be pillars of fire with our love, so that we can actually broadcast into the world, bring our communities together on full moons, new moons, on solstice, on equinox, these extraordinary cosmic secular energies, so that we can come together in pure faith and send ripples of love, chant extraordinary vibrational frequencies from our heart chakra into the world with one singular thought, which is pure love, pure joy, pure delight, pure bliss. And then suddenly the contamination ceases. So we take full responsibility, the ability to respond for what the nature of what the Divine Mother is offering us at this time, and what the Divine Father is offering us, which is you're not alone. You're in this all together. So it's a perverse or ironic shift that we're being, on one level, we're being seen that there's primary contamination because we have virus in the consciousness of our planet, and it's a vicious virus. But how can we see it as a wake-up call? And I feel that this is what you and I, it's interesting that I meet you after a few months of not talking, when we were talking about being an empath is a superpower. And yet our conditioning, our educational force, our socialization process has led us to believe that feeling it makes us vulnerable, and it's wrong. So no wonder many of us have this conditioned reflex within us where when we feel our empathic status, when we feel someone else's pain, we suddenly become intoxicated by it rather than, wait a minute, this is one that I'm feeling. This is one of my greatest gifts that has been given to me by the divine, that feeling is the language of the soul. In this moment, detach, feel stillness, observe. What am I going to do with this? Rather than becoming disempowered. And thence we become accelerated and uplifted and exhilarated by the nature of the fact I'm onto something really extraordinary here. I'm feeling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my feelings, I work on my negativity and I'm going to uplift my feelings. I mean, this is fundamentally, you know, when we look into the iconic status of Diana, because I'm so steeped in Diana at the moment, because my book is about to come out in the US bookstores. So I have been on national TV 4 times because of the brouhaha that's going on around Harry and Meghan. And today now, Robert Lacey has released a book called The Battle of the Brothers, which is extolling the whole nature of the fact that the brothers are in enmity. You know, Cain and Abel are shouting at one another, meaning Harry and William. And actually, all they're doing is trying to find out how much they love one another through the construct, or rather through the complexity of the fact that they're sealed into grief because of what took place, you know, now 24 years ago when their mother passed and they were babies. So they have this compact between them. That's what it's all about. And what's interesting is that we apparently can't perceive this. Forgive me, the British press can't perceive this. And all that the British press do is to project their spleen, their anger, their dismissal, their diminishment onto these extraordinary young people who are being brave enough to talk about what they're feeling. Yeah. So I feel that, you know, it's a contemporary witness to what we're actually talking about, that we're being given a very, very, very unique opportunity to make a choice in this moment. But of course, many of us have not allowed ourselves to really plow, as you were saying earlier, to really plow or excavate our feeling possibilities. What we tend to do is to anesthetize dark feeling, or we push it away, or we just simply try to ignore it. And what's happening at the moment is that it's saying, I'm not going to be ignored, like a 4-year-old.
Well, and we're acclimatizing, we're attuning to those emotions, also realizing they're not going to kill us, they're not going to take us away, that it's going to be all right. So we settle into, again, the intelligence that's running through that emotion. But there's uncomfortable because we haven't been in relationship in that way as intimately as we have the opportunity to do so now. And again, it's being projected in all these other places. So where your attention goes in the news and your books, what you're listening to and all that, that's what we're really working on an individual basis. And the synchronicities and the signposts are all around us if we really pay attention as to what's evolving and coming through us.
Yes, yes. And I don't, you know, we're smart men and we articulate well, but I don't believe that that means that we, you know, I don't believe that that's something that others can't do at the same time. But what we need to do is detach, feel stillness, and observe, rather than being part of and reacting to. And as a result of that, we all join in together. You know, I'm saying to the whole of my community, lean into me, lean into me, lean into me, breathe my breath and feel my heart beating and allow your heart to beat with my heart. Let's join in the you know, the two great rhythms, our breath and our heartbeat. And then all the other organic rhythms, all our biochemistry start flowing together. What a force that is. Isn't this what we do when we literally are in a space where love is made? We synchronize, don't we? We literally move into that divine symphony, that synergy, that synchrony, which is, of course, because you and I have talked about it many times before, it's the law of entrainment, that when a powerful host figure or hostess figure, no gender implied, is vibrating a rhythm that is strong, all other weaker vibrations are drawn to it. That's why we look at people like Oprah or Diana or you know, whoever or is, and we see, wow, aren't they amazing? And what they're all doing from Mount Olympus, from their zenith, which is called celebrity or famousness, what they're all doing is, well, why did you come and join me? Because it's actually quite ordinary up here. I've just worked hard at being consistent. I just keep repeating, I'm safe, I'm secure, all is well, and I'm in absolute connection with my core vibration. And I've been through such hardship and travail. Sometimes things don't work out. I'm safe, I'm secure, all is well, and I'm in absolute connection with my core vibration. If we can see it, then we can create it. If we can dream it, it becomes a reality. It's just that we're inconsistent. And I know you and I have talked about this before, because I have this theory that we're so caught up, John, in that we're breaking light, meaning that we have so much rapid eye movement because of going on in here, the noise that's going on in here, but automatically I say this because everybody starts blinking. But what we're doing is we're switching on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. We're on, we're off, we're on, we're off, we're on, we're off. And what we do is that we alter the biorhythm of our being. Because we're receiving light pulsation, which we know is continuous. It's source force, which is an infinitely unfolding creative possibility full of love and joy. We may look into the cosmos and say, well, there's light and there's dark, but it is just experiencing the continuation of light. And we see the magnificence of it, self-organizing, self-correcting, somehow stimulated by a divine impulse, which we call God. And it keeps recreating itself. Something ends and it begins, and something ends and it begins. But what we do is we switch off and we stay off. And that's when we get fearful. And that's when we feel, but I'm going to be alone.
Yeah, amazing. I love the way that you're describing this. I had an experience over the solstice, which was Sunday here in Hawaii. And I went into a multi-hour process of being still and being focused while the top was turvying, while it was going back and forth. So in the midst of anxiety, fear, not knowing, confusion, these other things, the guilt, betrayal, shame, all these emotions running through as energies through my body and as storylines that run and chatter through my mind, allowing those to go through, but still the focus that no matter what, here I am, even as these waves are crashing in, and here I am. And it was amazing to be in both at the same time and to discover how when we're truly aware of what's available and a reason why we would want to connect that way, because a lot of times we don't know the why. It's like we're doing it, but we forget it's for our children, for our connection with others, for my purpose, for, you know, what's that deep sense of your why? Because again, it's said in the why, you find your ability to get over anything that comes to you. And so that discovery and being in the intimacy of that will not allow these other things to take you off course, because of that commitment into where your heart is choosing to express, to give and to receive love, which is the ultimate that I believe that we're here for. So it's so beautiful that you talk about the focus and how we're turning it off and on through all these other distractions. And again, being at core with it is really the way in to hold it in ways that, again, we probably have never experienced before, many of us.
John, I have to celebrate you in this moment. I've just got waves and waves and waves of John. I think you're extraordinary. What planet do you come from? Don't answer.
Thank you.
That's another conversation. I've just got waves. Everybody, did you feel those waves of Johnny, Johnny, Johnny? It's just amazing. You're so brilliant. But we feel the pulse of your love and your wisdom. I believe I have an answer. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like smarty pants, but I feel I've got an answer.
Please do, yes.
The why do we do it? Because it's such fun.
There you go.
the wonder of it all. It's
Yes.
just extraordinary. I feel that if we can keep revivifying our wonder, revitalizing our wonder, it's what we had when we were kids. My little godson was saying to me only the other day, he was, "Oh," and I said, "Oh, what's the matter, darling?" And he said, "I'm and he couldn't really articulate. And what had happened is the cat had died. Okay.
Mm.
Who he's known for about a year. Anyway, so he didn't really ever take responsibility for the wonderful cat. So I said, okay, so how can I best serve you? What can I do? He said, can you pick me up and hold me? So I'm hugging him, and there's this wet shoulder gradually growing and growing into my shirt. And he said, but Mom, but Clarence has died. And I said, okay, well, that's one story. And immediately he stopped and he said, what's the other story? Smart, only 7 years of age. So I said, the other story is that Clarence has gone to heaven. Do you really think so? And I said, no, I don't think so. I know so. How do you know so? Well, because Clarence was so wonderful to us. Look at all the love and the play, never an argument, always just amazing. Clarence, the cat, was amazing. And he said, you've got a point there. You can now put me down. So I put him down, he's standing in front of me, and this child is in a state of wonder looking at me with the mouth. And I said to his mother, now what's going to happen? And Casper said, the boy said, Stewart, I think you're God. And I said, oh, really, Casper? Why do you think that? Because I know I'm God and I'm seeing light all around you. But I know that your light and my light are completely connected.
Wow.
I could go on, but it's sort of the wonder of it all. Do you know what I mean? And it reminded me of the little boy inside me, because now I'm nearly a 70-year-old man, apparently. And I still feel 18. And I know that I have to keep connecting with that innocence, that wonder, that pure joy of, oh, I see him. His mother can bring some fruit and she's, cut it up beautifully and decorated the plate and stuff. And he said, oh, Mummy, that's wonderful. Because suddenly the mango are in triangles and there he is gobbling it down. The pure joy, the pure wonder. I feel if we can keep that wonder, that's the why, do you see? All we need is the what and the why. We don't need to know the how.
Right.
The how is universal splendor. The how is universal intelligence. We really want to go into the mind of God. Well, I believe that what we're doing when we feel or process these energies and others like them is that we see the face of God. And then automatically our prayers, our chanting, our affirmation, our wish fulfillment literally become neural vectors that go right into the mind of God. And that's when he says, thank heavens you've come. I've been waiting for you all this time.
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness, sir. And what you're articulating speaks to another direct experience that I had months ago. And it was in the why and in the what, and being in that space. And I was in a deep meditation process and feeling creation and seeing these lights and feeling expanded. It was beautiful. And the second my mind would go into the how, it would collapse. And then I'd get back and eliminate the how, and it'd start back up and it'd start being illuminated. My body started responding, and I was in that wonder, the colors that I was seeing, the majesty, the beauty of creation was all right there. And I'd get back into the how again, even for a millisecond, and the colors would go away, everything would go flat. And this repeated several times over. It's like, wow, that's amazing that can come up that way. So the alchemy that you're speaking of was so true based on my individual experience as well. It's just proof that what you're saying, if we can adhere to those principles and remember and to receive the articulation of God through creation, through our sense of wonder, then what's possible other than experiencing the next form of creation and being in the just majesty of the witnessing it. And I think a lot of our suffering is, again, trying to figure out the how. trying to figure out how it came to be, why I get to receive this, why I don't get to receive it, all these other things that take us away from this beautiful stew that we're all in, that's just waiting to create its art.
This is so cool. You're absolutely, I mean, for me, I'm in complete concurrence with what you're saying, but you're really touching the quick of it all. And, what I'm reminded of in this moment is that something happened in our consciousness in the early part of the 1700s, specifically 1623, because that's when Isaac Newton said, whatever you've been believing in doesn't exist. And what we've been believing in for, let's say in the Western mind for 1,000 years. Well, actually over 1,500, 1,550, 1,600 years, because this was in the 1623, that we'd all been believing in the power of what you were just talking about, that if we go into nature, that nature is alive with God's breath. Nature is alive with chi, with force, may the force be with you, with inspiration, with pranayama, with ruach, with the holy wind, the Navajo call it. And suddenly Isaac Newton said, no, it doesn't exist. Because what you're talking about is the fact that the medieval people called it the anima mundi, the animating principle of the universe. God breathed into the surface of the waters and brought forth life. And God breathed into the nostrils of man, and man became a living soul. So God's breath is what we're actually retuning into. But if we have the thought police coming along, meaning the scientists, and evidently there was an egoic development at that point, but the scientists said, no. The planet is merely a lump of matter hurtling through space. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have that stuff. Unplug. So we literally unplugged, as you were saying. They were enriched and nourished by divine splendor within the planet. And then you unplugged. And when we unplug, we feel fearful. I feel that the viciousness of COVID, the negative aspect of COVID, because it has a horror attached to it, has actually been an ironic status that has brought us back into, I will defy you. The number of people that I've seen, and I think I shared with you at the beginning of the crisis, at the beginning of global pause, lockdown, a client of mine is a leading virologist who was managing, directing a team of nurses and other doctors in a major London hospital. He's been a client of mine for 20 years. I mean, he comes to me for intuitive renderings, he comes to me for readings. And he called me and said, I need you. And I said, I'm yours. What do I need to do? He said, no, I want you to come in. And I said, come in? What? He said, come into hospital. And I said, okay, just tell me what it means. What's the protocol I have to go through? Well, we'll test you. We'll cleanse the whole of you. We'll strip you naked. I mean, he made a whole dance out of it. And then we'll place you in plastic. And then I want you behind me, whispering in my ear, tell me what to do, because the stress levels are so high. I can feel my biochemistry. I can feel all my electricity quivering. And I'm not making clear choices. But I know whenever I'm with you, you ground me and you remind me about the clear choice. So we worked together. It was extraordinary. I was literally behind him, whispering in his ear, because some of the people were in such stress that the only way to alleviate the horror of what they were experiencing as the virus was marching through their cells was to find a vein and place a catheter into the vein and pump them full of antibodies or penicillin or whatever was, whatever drug was necessary. But the difficulty was that the people were so stressed that he couldn't find the veins.
Wow.
So the easiest way to go in was through the jugular. So I got really good intuitively at saying, no, go a little bit more to the right. No, bit more, okay, now push. And he would say, how did you do that? I just found the vein. So it turned into, we had fun. So wow. I would go in, I think 2 days a week. It took me a lot of time to decontaminate myself afterwards. I would go for a walk in nature, and then I come home, put all of my clothes into the washing machine. So I wore clothes that I could do that with, even though it was cool here, April, anyway, whatever. and then would shower for like 5 hours, and then ring my bells and do, play beautiful music and drink wonderful green tea. And eventually, after about 3 hours, my body would cease vibrating what I picked up. It was really, really vicious. Extraordinary things happened, John. There was one man who died, and I saw him leave his body, and I saw a whole group of ancestral souls come to meet him.
Wow.
And yet he was hovering. And so the doctor that I'm talking about said, oh no, he's gone. He's gone. He's gone. I'll just quickly tape into the microphone the death certificate. And I said, no, he's not gone. He's coming back. Can you please use the paddles? And he said, my God, what are you talking about? You're not even a doctor. And I said, please use the paddles and bring him back. He needs to. And he came thudding back into his body. This was a man who was 80 years of age. Respiratory tract was severely inflamed with COVID and other ancillary features taking place. As soon as he came round, he grabbed my hand and he said, why did you bring me back? I was in bliss. I met my mother. She was a bitch when she was alive. This is an 80-year-old man. But I met her and she was like this angel, and I was all that, and I wanted to stay there. And I said, no, you came back because you've got work to do. You have karma to what are you talking about? And he was a working class guy that had been a laborer all his life, that had smoked cigarettes all his life. And so he said, he's used a few expletives. And I said, no, you came back to do something. And I said, okay, I'm leaving you now because the nurses need to take you through recovery. But I'm going to come back and see you in an hour when you've been heavily sedated. And I went back and saw him in an hour. And he said, I've stayed awake to hear what you've got to say. So I sat very close so that I could whisper in his ear. And I said, you are a selfish old, and I used an expletive, which I won't repeat. You know that you've been really unyielding within your community. And now it's time to give back to your community. How did you know that? His wife had died the year before, but she was his slave. She'd done everything for him and the family. She'd sacrificed herself. So I said, no, you need to really start serving your community. What do you mean? Go and ask the senior citizens in your community. This is an 82-year-old man. Go and ask the senior citizens if you can clean their windows or do some grocery shopping or make a cup of tea. Do you know, when he got out of hospital 3 weeks later, he started doing this. And the other day, his daughter called me and said, Stewart, I just wanted you to know, Joe passed with a smile on his face, saying, tell Stewart I'm in bliss.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God, it's so amazing. And again, those grounding rods that we are for one another, and what you were for the doctor and for Joe, and what's coming through, it's so amazing. Sir, you do this with so many people, and it's just what you see in the way that you communicate it. And if any of y'all have worked with Stewart, so much love, so much compassion, but also a lot of directness, which is beautiful. And I love your directness because that really gives us a vehicle and a pathway. Because if we talk in so many options, possibilities, if we acquiesce to an emotion that's right there that really wants to be spoken to, but negate it and bypass it for the sake of making a client feel comfortable, you're not really being of service.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate the way that you show up for clients. Those are my favorite teachers. It's like, I've done enough work. Point me to my BS, because if there's what's still there, I don't want that blind spot anymore. But I want it felt through love and compassion and wisdom. And it's received that way. It's what's possible in moving those mountains becomes as simple as moving your chair across the room. It really does. So I'm leading into the special offer for Stewart. I'm going to take Q&A here as well. But part of what Stewart's bringing is a session with them, but also it gets into, and you can talk about this. Well, let's go to special offer and we'll talk about it, because we talk about the Merlin Grail.
Yeah, because it's a sword of truth.
Yeah. So
It
everybody, before you get a little bit deeper, Stuart, I want to make sure that everybody sees the link in the chat box for the special offer, because we're going to get into this Grail of Merlin that's also emerging as well. That's part of the special offer, but you'll have an introduction here in just a second. So for context, definitely click on the link in the chat box. It's right at the bottom of the chat box, or you can type into your web browser beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Stewart25. It'll take you to that same very page. And Stuart, if you'd guide us into, again, your wisdom and awareness of this, and again, this Grail crystal as well.
Does this mean I'm going to be 25 years of age again?
Wherever you choose, it's a matter of perspective, right? It's funny. You talked about your age earlier and how you felt. And a very dear friend of mine was a regular guest on this show who transitioned a few years ago. One of his beautiful sayings, they used to say, on birthdays, if you didn't know how old you are, how old would you be? And so, yes, Stuart, you can absolutely be 25 years old.
Well, that's, because I had a birthday not so long ago. I'm a Taurus boy, and my brother said, "How old are you?" I mean, he's my brother, and he's a year older. So I said, "I'm whatever I am." I'm whatever. Okay, so into the story, which is so unique for this time. I've had a teacher for many years, for over 40 years. In flesh, this human is called Jeff Boltwood, but actually Jeff has used his soul name that was given to him when he was 6 years of age, which is Tarath, which has a wonderful Atlantean ring or Celtic ring about it, I always feel. Jeff, when he was 6 years of age, was dying of acute nephritis, which is a kidney wasting disease. And he was in hospital. This was, so he's now 75. So we go back 70 years. And he was in a London hospital. This little boy, knowing that he was ailing, knowing that he was possibly going to meet his maker, as his mother put it. And he was lying in bed, and suddenly he saw a ball of white light hovering at the foot of his bed. And the ball of white got closer and closer and closer and came inside him. And this is when he knew he was the Tarath. But his physical body was still very weak, and he was parched. So he didn't have the strength to reach forward and to take the plastic jug and the plastic cup and pour water in it. So he looked at it and he thought it, and it moved towards him kinetically. Wow. So, to cut a long story short, he then went through the whole process of rehabilitation. He was dying in hospital, and suddenly the child is alive, and went through a whole process of, growth as we go through, and adolescence, and then discovered that he still had these telekinetic powers. And one of the great powers that he had was to produce oil from the palms of his hands spontaneously.
Wow.
And so he, I won't go on enumerating the list of his supernatural skills, but at one point, he was regarded as the European Sai Baba. And B, he was so fascinatingly, the community in London was so fascinated by him that he was actually scientifically tested as having very unusual energy forces. So he was taken into a laboratory situation, and he was scientifically tested, and he could take into his palm seeds of mustard and cress, close and go, and they would have germinated by half an inch. So the force that was moving through him was really very extraordinary. And he yielded into the healing path of that force and became a very well-known healer within Europe. Anyway, I met him in the late 70s, early 80s. In 1993, he'd moved to Glastonbury and had become the Tarath. And to cut a very long story short, he was called to a pasture just south of the Tor with a group of people that he was working with in terms of progressive meditation. They all meditated. They saw blue and green lights in the heavens, and a fissure opened, a gap opened, a hole opened in the center of the circle. They all heard 9 harmonic tones. in these very, very high overtone frequencies. And he put his hand into the cache and pulled out a crystal, which is about this long and this wide. And it closed, and there was the crystal lying on the Earth's surface. As I sit here in flesh, this is what took place. I've spoken to several people who were actually present. And of course, I believe utterly in Tarath. Now, he contacted me recently and said, there is work for you to do. I want to reveal the crystal to you, the Grail crystal to you. So he introduced me to the story of the Grail crystal. The Grail crystal has been in our presence for over 400,000 years on this planet. So it's lived in all the major energy centers and is now in Glastonbury Tor, which is a node, a very powerful earth energy center that many people refer to as being the heart chakra of the world. That's debatable, because I think there are heart chakras all over. You know, each country has its heart chakra, but it's a very, very powerful node that when we stand on it, we literally connect with the crystalline matrix of the planet. So the crystal is about this long, and this is only one half of a crystal that is this long. The other half is still in the earth. The yin portion or aspect is in the earth. The yang he has, and it looks like this. This is only one part of it in the photograph.
Oh,
The
wow.
hand is holding it. So this is the sword in the stone. It was used, not literally, we have to think metaphorically. It was used as an acupuncture pin to go into the earth to electrify the crystalline matrix. So he was giving it to me to utilize at this time through teaching the Grail crystal, to utilize the fact that when the crystalline matrix is electrified, which is what's happening at this time, and there are 12 Grail crystal keepers around the planet. He's just one. We don't know who the other people are. They have not revealed themselves yet. And so I'm using it at the moment to actually allow our own bodies, because by the release of force from the Grail crystal, our own crystals within the silica within our bodies, they become activated, and as a result of that we become part of the crystalline matrix, thereby going back to the origin of our conversation today, you and I, we move into human angel status, so that we can be pillars of light.
Wow.
A supernatural story.
Wow. Oh, what an amazing story and what's coming through. So your special offer includes not just a private session with you, a 1 hour private session. It also includes information and modules that offer bringing in this crystalline presence of the Grail through meditation and other things. So go through the special offer with us, Stewart. If y'all are on this special offer page, again, it's in the chat box, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Stewart25. It'll take it to that same page. So run us through what people are going to receive when they participate.
Well, the key thing that you and I have discovered that most people seem to want is they want to spend some time with me. So
sure.
we've created this offer, the first offer of the soul reading, which is receiving information through dialogue about how we can activate our souls fully at this time. And of course, here you and I are in Congress sharing lots of information about how we can do this, but particularly in relation to the holding points or the lesions that we carry. And that, it seems, is the import of most of the people that come, that they come saying, I've got this problem, I've got this challenge, and I feel therefore I'm not living my potential. So can I please tell you what this problem is, what this challenge is, and perhaps you have ideas about how I can heal it. And so a soul reading is really seeing, well, here is my 3D presence, and here is my soul presence. My life has taught me to keep them separate. Our educational process, indeed our religious process, has taught us to keep them separate. Because after all, we do something extraordinary on Sunday or on Saturday, depending on our faith, Obviously, if we're Christian, it's Sunday. If we're Jews, it's Saturday. If we're Islam, it's Friday. So it's interesting, we have sectarian divide even between that way. And so I'm living all of this, but then I go back to my job or I go back to the family and I separate from all of that wonder. And of course, as we know, people behave so beautifully in religious community when they're living their souls, and then they go back to 3D and they start behaving so badly.
Yeah. Yes.
So really a soul reading is bringing the whole of our soul body into our physical presence, into 3D. And it's something that I've sort of been observing as a student and now as a teacher or as a wise counsel for many, many years. So on this particular occasion, of course, what we're going to be doing is bringing the Grail crystal fully alive in the soul reading, so that the individual who comes, the dear one who comes, has a very specific reckoning as they feel the Grail crystal awakening their biochemistry.
Amazing, amazing what's being offered through this. And again, the activation that's coming through and the awareness through it. So again, everybody, for the special offer, you get your 1 hour session with Stewart. Your soul reading with that by itself is just tremendous to work with Stewart in that way. But what's also in here is the crystalline presence of the Grail, the meditation. And how is this meditation created? Because when you put things together,
there are three principal meditations, and I mean, I have to say, when I recorded them, I was in tears. I mean, I had such fun. They were just so beautiful. So there are three principal meditations. There's the crystalline presence of the Grail, which is a continuating action and call to being in the presence of the Grail crystal. There's how, when this touches me, when this informs me, it allows me to feel that the whole of my field is lightening up. Every cell is lightening up. So I'm feeling a level of delight, but I know that actually I'm enlightening. I can feel that my field is light. And people are saying to me, oh, what's this glow around you? So we're moving, in other words, into becoming a human angel. That's the second meditation. The third meditation is really what this entire time is about, which is that we're evolving into a soul family, that we're moving into being a family of light. And so many of us are either seeking our tribe or seeking our family of light or seeking our monad, meaning soul group, or we found them. We found some of them. And of course, sometimes they're not to do with our blood lineage, you know, the soul lineage and blood lineage. Sometimes they can interweave, but with many of us, particularly we indigos, that we're very separate, you know, where we were discussing this over the weekend retreat, you know, looking at people and thinking, why did I come into this family? I know that was one of my major preoccupations. I just couldn't understand it. And I love people and I love, you know, I love the conviviality of communing with people, but I would think, what? I mean, I would feel so of no judgment, just pure discernment. And so my parents died very young, and I just simply discontinued. I didn't go into cancellation culture, as we call it today. I just discontinued. So I communed with all of these people through soul prayer, and then just disconnected. And none of them came running after me.
Yeah, interesting.
So I'm free.
You're free. And well, interesting. It's also part of that letting go. And even those soul agreements that kind of know not to go after you, not to re-enroll you in that density because you're evolving into something else. So still there, I believe there's a majesty at play as well. There's a knowing that is happening through an intelligence that's beyond our consciousness, and the relationships that we have. So evolving into your soul family. What a beautiful offering in this as well. And guys, we aren't done yet. We had the 3 meditations, like of course the 1 hour one-on-one session with Stewart, but then you've added even more components to this, and you offer 2 scrolls of the magical Grail crystal. What are these?
These wonderful scroll icons. Well, you know, what we're all looking for when we've been moved, fact, when we move through a pathway of transcendence, what we're all looking for is what you and I have been talking about, which is how can I sustain this? Because it seemed to switch off and switch on. How do I sustain the switching on? And you know, earlier it's very interesting that we were talking about the fire and the word focus. And actually the word focus in ancient times meant fire. And of course, when we look into the fire, we're completely mesmerized by the dancing flames, seeing the salamander keep the flames alive, you know, the spirit of the flames. And so these icons are to be placed. They can be, I always get this word wrong. I said acetated and you said, what? Laminate. They can be laminated. You know, because we can print them out, laminate them, and put them on our altar so that they're actually this extraordinary nourishing presence alongside members of our family, our great spirit teachers, you know, the divine ones, the ascended masters and mistresses, the angels, so that we can actually have them near to us. Now, the intriguing thing is, because a lot of people have said to me, well, surely the only way that I can really profit by this experience is by touching the crystal. And what was interesting in the teaching that Tareth gave me was that no, it's holographic. So there is literally a crystal. And if anybody wants, I can always provide a video as an interview of me having, you know, I'll send you it later, John, talking with Tareth. And he introduces the crystal to me, or to us, I should say. But he, you know, he in his humility said, no, this creates a hologram. Wow. And the image, the scroll, is the hologram. And of course, one piece of the scroll is also a definition of what the scroll is, where it's from, how long it's been with us, and what its potentiality is as we just state and evolve in the way that we are doing. So it's nowhere else in the world at this moment are we aware that any of the Grail crystal keepers are stepping forward. But Tareth has stepped forward. He is able to apply all that he knows about the crystal in a very intimate way. But he said, you know, Stewart, you're dancing through the world, and I want you to take it forth. So he's given me special permission. It's such an honor.
So beautiful. Oh my God. And to carry it forward here in this special offer and the way that you're sharing it, Stewart, is so beautiful. So everybody, again, the special offer, the private session with Stewart, the 3 meditations, the true scrolls, it's $197, a 2 payment option, and so much to be benefited from. So again, as part of our offering and service to you, we bring these discounted transmissions and presence and guidance to you, and we do it in the form today of this amazing teacher and wisdom keeper that we know, Stewart Pearce. So I hope you take advantage of it. And again, to do so, again, the link is in the chat box here on the video. If you're on the phone or can't find it for whatever reason on your computer, go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Stewart25, and it will take you to that same page. Wonderful, Stewart. Oh, this is so good. Well, Stewart, there's a lot of people on the line right now with hands up, and I'm going to promote some of y'all a little bit at a time here. And if you don't mind, let's start getting to some
absolutely
one-on-one calls here. So the first caller I want to take is Birgit. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But if you'd unmute, welcome to the call.
Yes, thank you so much. What a amazing thing to hear, because I have to say I have been in a very troubling way. I had it is like a dark night of the soul. I experienced the second in my life because I have gotten the vaccine, and I have had, you know, fears for my life and the life of my family. And it's interesting, Stewart, that you say last Friday happened something, because the last 2 days were the first days where I was without this fear. And so I'm claiming my right to be here and to create my own reality. And whatever you could, offer to me.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Whatever you can offer to me as advice, that would be beautiful. And
Yeah.
I do know that we do create our own reality. And I have to say, I was disconnected the last year because I was so overwhelmed with work in school and everything. And you know what? The whole thing has brought me back to the light,
Yes.
to
Yes.
connect with him.
Yes. Yes. Well, you see, I mean, my first sharing, darling, is that you're a doer. You're very active, and you're immensely active in your community. But, you know, this signal demonstration is that you've been doing. And as a result of doing, and of course, being so loving and responsible for the community, what was actually happening is that your field was becoming so porous that you were taking on the negativity. And because you're a sensitive, you were absorbing it like a sponge. I mean, that's part of our journey. You know, I, as a younger person, had the essence of what you see in me now, but the level of porous vulnerability, the level of hypersensitivity, the sickness that I always experienced, the fear of people, the fear of the world, etc., etc. You know, we go through these long dark nights of the soul so that we can truly reckon who we are, and your angels are with you. So anyway, the first suggestion is, well, don't do. Give yourself time to really honor who you are and go straight to Mother Nature. And talk to the divine mother. She will always come to you, whether it be Isis, Mary, Kuan Yin, Lady Portia, the Magdalene, whomever it is, go and talk to her. I would not be who I am if I didn't go and talk to the Divine Mother once a week. And I go and talk to Mary because there's a church not far from where I am. If I'm in New York, my second home, I'm in London at the moment, I go to St. Patrick's and talk to her there. But here I go to this church and she's there. She always talks to me.
Yes,
So while we
very
speak,
true.
you see, I'm doing the third thing, which is just sending you immense amounts of light. And you feel different, don't you? Okay.
Yeah.
You see, it's okay. Now, just before we finish, I have to honor the angels. The angels want to speak to you. I feel as though this is happening to me, as though I'm being prodded in the back, and I'm going to do it through the oracle of the angels of Atlantis. These are these 12 beings of light that came to me in '87. And the card is, is Raphael, the holy healer. I don't know if you can see this. See if I put the light up a bit. So the orb of Raphael, the holy healer, who is always emerald green, and empathy. You see, you're an empath. And so Raphael is saying, you just say a few prayers to me, Birgit. Say a few prayers and I'll come, because your lotus here, it's beautifully blooming, but your lotus became really taxed by the doing. How's that?
Oh, so true. And I also have to say, 3 days ago, I really broke down and I just went to the floor and said, show me the way, show me the way.
Yeah. And then you suddenly discovered John Burgos.
Exactly.
I mean, he's this beautiful human angel in our midst. Wherever John goes, he just shines this light. That's why I can't resist him, you see. He asked me to come on his program. And I say, John, I'll be there. You know, where a lot of the other people are asking me, and I'm saying, well, I'm rather busy, but I have to be with John.
That's so
I can
beautiful.
totally understand. Thank you.
Bridget, sending you so much love. And also know, just to remember that in the breakdown is the breakthrough. So your willingness to break down, to release that armor that's been weighing you down for so long, protecting yourself and others. Yeah, the breakdown is what a gift. Because I feel your heart expanding and being illuminated even more perhaps than before, as you learn that compassion for yourself as so much that you carry for others. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, let's go to our next caller. Jesse, let's go to you. Hey, Jesse.
Hello.
Hey.
Blessings to both you, John, Stewart. So good to see
Namaste.
you.
Lovely to see you.
Yes. Thank you so much for the space you hold. You both are just brilliant. This has been a wonderful talk. I was seeking a little bit of advice and been working very strongly with the angels. So much of the tools that you two, even on this call, have given me have been I've been using them over the last year. And I'm about to launch our very first event where I'm bringing together a bunch of light workers. And I have so much faith and trust in it, and I've expelled most of my fear about it. But just any advice that comes through for me before I go into this holding space for so many people. And
wow, what you're doing is so beautiful. I feel it. It's really beautiful. And you know, you're a musician, aren't you? You could have been drawn into a commercial context, but actually, you know, with the balancing of your own ingenuity, of being able to produce the abundance that allows you to create sacred music. And here you are talking about bringing people into communion. I think it's absolutely extraordinary. It's a huge calling, Jessie. It's a huge calling. And the particular message that I'm feeling is that you're being called by a spirit guardian. Do you know who this is?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's Saint Germain.
Yes!
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why did I know that? I tell you, as soon as you came onto screen, this extraordinary smell, and he always precedes, you know, this has been my master for the last 40 years. He always precedes with this smell, and then I feel his laughter, and then this wisdom that pours through. So he is calling you. Now, I mean, the reason why I'm mentioning this is lean into him, pray to him, because he will show you the way. And there are a series of concerts which you're going to be creating post-COVID. And they're going to be, you know, start off possibly with not the level of attendance that you would like. And it will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. By the time you reach the 12th concert, you will have before you pillars of light. You'll see exactly what the theme or the resonance of each concert will be, and they will become major vehicles for you. Crystalline within the sound making of each of the pillars, or the crystal pillars, will be profound teaching from the master. You've been with him before on a number of occasions, you see, but not for some time in past life. So it's all within you. You just need to be with sonic vibration. So your music making with a wonderful communion of people, but also just leaning into, okay, where are you? Show yourself. I am your faithful servant. Teach me what you would have me think. Teach me what you would have me feel. Teach me what you would have me do. Do you want to speak to your child?
See her.
Yeah.
I don't see her.
My baby boy wants to say hi too. Say hi.
Well, hi. Look at you.
Hi.
I love the cap.
Oh, Stewart, thank you so much. That is so brilliant and so aligned with all the vision that I'm seeing as well. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's just, yeah.
To be honest, Jessie, there's a tremendous amount of energy pouring through me because you and I are connected on a soul level. So I could go on and on and on and on. If you can, come for a soul reading.
I'd love to.
You're wonderful.
Instead
Jessie, thanks for calling
Instead
in.
of my usual $500, it's only $197.
I'm there.
Jesse, blessings on your events, and thank you for putting it together in the light that you're emanating as well.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
blessings too.
Blessings to you
So
both.
good. All right, let's go to our next caller. How about we go to Patricia? Welcome.
Am I unmuted now?
You are unmuted now. Welcome.
Hello.
How strange to see Patricia.
Hello, Stewart. I need some advice, Stewart. I've been
What, darling?
exhausted beyond exhaustion, and it's been worse and worse. And so I need advice. What's going on? It's not medical. my blood has been checked in a special lab, and they say I have the blood of an Olympic top athlete. I am so
Being an
tired.
Olympic athlete is exhausting.
Yes, but I'm not doing anything.
Well, apparently you are. It's just that you're not doing it in the way that we normally see in 3D. You're not running races or leaping over, high wires or whatever, or putting shot, What you're doing is you're working on the subterranean levels. You're working through the veils. And so, your work, particularly during sleep or in meditation, you're moving through into 4th, 5th dimension. And that's how extraordinary the crystalline presence of your soul is. So what I would suggest is that you ask all of your angels and guides could you please just close the door for a little while so that I can have some peace and sleep? Because actually what's happening is you're becoming so active on a subliminal level. Do you see? Your consciousness is being used because that's part of the mechanism of what you agreed to in this incarnation, because you're an empath.
Yeah, I'm a crystal.
And then you'll find that it will cease, and you will feel resource and reserves of energy, power driving through you.
Okay.
Let's just see who's talking to you. I don't believe it. The same card has come through. It's Raphael, the Holy Healer, and empathy. You see, because you're both empaths. It's what happened for Birgit.
Okay, so I don't need to worry because the tiredness is extreme. I cannot do even normal, how do you say in English? Chores in the household,
Oh yes, chores.
Chores. Even that I can't do. It's really, I even cried today because I'm so exhausted for such a long time, and I thought it's going to get better, but it's not getting better.
Well, whenever you said, should I worry? No, you don't need to worry. Worry is the old paradigm way of not being in touch with source. Yeah. Worrying means that we displace energy, we worry about ourselves, or we share it with somebody else and they worry about us. Okay. It doesn't achieve anything. So what is the point of worrying when you can pray? So start praying.
Okay, so I need to ask the angels, please close the door so I can have a bit of more energy.
No, you want some rest.
Yeah, you're so working, I'm still working hard at night.
Yeah.
But I committed myself before sleep not to go to the 4th dimension to help the deceased pass over. We talked about this. I stopped doing that and I thought, now I will have more energy. But it didn't happen.
Yes, so, but I mean, you're expecting it to happen like that.
Yes.
And what we're dealing with is the fact that the time aspect of what we're living at the moment is like a piece of elastic. It's being stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched. Literally, if you can dream it, it will become a reality. So just keep saying the same prayer. And, I feel that if you can say the prayer of Mary.
The classic prayer of Mary.
Yeah, but change sinners for lovers. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mother.
Holy Mary, Mother of God.
Thank you very much. Pray for us lovers now and at the hour of our death.
Yes, amen.
Goodbye. And she will always come and talk to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bless you.
Blessings, Patricia. And Patricia, and this is part of the conversation from earlier as well, Stewart, where it's also our bodies adjusting. We're taking in the crystalline energy. We're going through the amplification. So our body is even requiring different nutrients and different ways of being. Rest, and again, that empathic, porous nature that we have is contributed, like Stewart's saying. So compassion and the awareness of that is important. Not that you don't get medically checked. You did that, which if anybody's going through symptoms, I highly recommend. Get your blood test, do the acid test, go through the allergy test, see where inflammation is occurring, or whatever, just to cover your bases. And again, Stewart, what you're offering in these soul readings into the grander purpose, into what else is happening, it's beautiful. So again, go into deeper insight so many of us are experiencing. different waves of physical and emotional turbulence. And so to have the support that puts it into context allows our sympathetic nervous system to relax and to heal much more quickly. So it's beautiful. Patricia, one mantra for you before you go to bed would be wonderful, perhaps. I release everything and everybody.
Yes,
and I send them to the light. Super simple. And you can repeat that 10 times a day if you want. I release everything and everybody.
And I send them to the light.
1,000,000 times a day.
Yeah, 1,000,000 times a day. Patricia, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Patricia.
Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
All right. Beautiful. Let's go to our next caller, Ariane. Pronounce it for me, please. Unmute yourself and welcome to the call. Ariane. Welcome.
Oh, hi, thank you. Oh, wow. I can't believe that I came upon your show today. It's just perfect. And to be in communication with you, Stewart, is amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say, I use your cards with my clients every day. I use them today. And today I got for myself, Archangel Gabriel and prophecy. So it feels kind of like a prophecy that we're together now. So I just want to have a little bit, I don't know if there's any information out there for me right now. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, mid-April, I was told to quit my job. There was no hesitation, no time. And I hesitated for 2 days and I got violently ill. So I said, okay, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop for 2 months, see what happens. And then I was immediately sent to this place by the river where I live. I'm in Montreal, and sit by the St. Lawrence Seaway and just work on the grid, like just sending energy into the crystalline grid, working with it, working with the magnetic grid. And all of these energies that I'd never experienced before started bubbling up and bubbling up and bubbling up. So I did that for like 4 hours a day since beginning of May, because I got 2 weeks of rest before starting. And now it feels like all of a sudden, I don't know what my job is anymore. So I don't know if you have any insights for me. I would appreciate it. And at the same time, I feel the same way. It's like I'm working all the time. I don't know how. I am feeling very depleted physically, very tired, a lot of inflammation. And even financially, because I am not able to do the other type of work that I know brings me money. So I'm like,
the other type of work that brings me money.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I always feel like there's.
What does that mean? The other type of work that brings me money.
The other type of work for me that brings me money is to work for a company.
Okay.
So sometimes I work for the government.
That's only one way, though. That's only one way. Okay, so the first thing that we're doing, you've been called to the crystalline matrix and you've had these extraordinary experiences. This is going to increase. You're purely in transition. And as Patricia was saying, and to a certain extent, well, you could identify and empathize with what Birgit was saying, that you three ladies are in the same process of transitioning from one state of being into a highly refined state of being. In terms of Earth years, this takes time. Thank God our time is now, where wrong comes up at every turn, never to leave us till we take the longest stride of soul we humans ever took. It takes thousands of years to wake, but will you wake for pity's sake? So our souls are, we knew thousands of years ago that we would awaken at this time because of Aquarius, because of all the great shifts. You felt the call and you honored the call, and you quit that job, which you're not supposed to be doing. The job that you're supposed to be doing is exactly what you're doing now. in feeling into the extraordinary properties of what the crystalline matrix is all about. This is just the beginning, the information that's going to come to you. And then automatically you need to set up channels of experience where you transmit this information to the people in your community. And you're going to find that automatically the energy exchange will be that you will give the information and they will give you money. And within no time, you're going to find that you've earned much more money doing that than you did in the other thing. There is limitless abundance, you see. There is no scarcity.
No, I know. I
We
completely
think ourselves
understand. I've been in
into,
this.
I don't have any money, I don't have any money, I don't have any money. No, just keep saying, I'm infinitely abundant in spirit. I have lots of money and my wealth grows every day. I'm infinitely abundant in spirit. I have lots of money and my wealth grows every day. In other words, what I mean by this is that money is an agency to mobility.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I understand that here and here. But then every once in a while, everything becomes too much. And it feels like I need to hang on to the tangible, right? The things that I can see in a way that other people can see, and kind of negate the work that I'm doing in the realms that are not visible.
Okay, now wait a moment. You told us about this amazing transcendental experience that you had at the St. Lawrence waterway, the river. That was amazing. We were all with you and we were all thinking, oh my God, I wish I'd been with you to have that experience. This was amazing. And then you come back to 3D and you say what you just said. I mean, give me a break.
Can you give me a way to get a break? Because this is exhausting. And I don't want to do this anymore.
It's what?
I said, can you give me a way to get a break? Because I don't want to do this anymore. It's exhausting. I want to stay in that beautiful place where I feel like I'm in this quantum field.
Ariane, you're breaking up on us.
And extreme wonder. But then I'm always returned.
Aaron, you're breaking up on us. Stewart, can you hear her?
I can't. No,
I can't either.
Did you hear what John was saying? Unfortunately, what you just said was broken.
So I'm muting you, Ariane, but Ariane, we understand that you want a break, that you're tired. So many of us are, and then the compassion that so many of us are going through these changes, like Patricia was on the line, again, tired, exhausted, not knowing what her body's going through. And so
may I just also share, that when we were babies and when we were playing and creating, do you remember we were told specifically, we had a parameter which was be home by 4. And then suddenly there we were, and somebody had a watch, because somebody always had a watch. Not everybody had a watch, but somebody, be home at 4. And suddenly you realized that the time had passed and it was 4:30, and everybody felt immediately really guilty. However, and then we came back into 3D. But during the play, it was effortless, it was boundless, and it was always highly energized. And we just went on and on and on. It's the wonder that John and I were talking about, you see. So I say, go back into the energy and see the wonder of it. Your body will always tell you when you need recovery, when you need restoration. Otherwise, don't worry, just keep going, enjoying the wonder. But it's all about dancing with the flow of the universe.
Answer the floor. And thank you so much. Blessings too, and for the work that you're doing.
Namaste, namaste.
Yeah, namaste. Stewart, we have come to the end of our time together on today's show.
No, I don't believe it.
I know. There's so much articulation, so much that was coming through, and so much of the transmission that's being emanated. I'm going to suggest everybody come back and listen to the replay. We'll put the replay out a little bit later. We'll probably do another post later this afternoon, our regular time for BTO. So maybe come back at that time if you're used to coming to the show, and come back and listen, because there's so much here to be absorbed and to be carried through. So I hope you take advantage of that. And of course, Stewart's special offer with the one-on-one reading, the 3 meditations, the 2 scrolls, $197. Just the reading alone is worth $500 or has a value of $500. So it's tremendous. And again, Stewart always offers it here on BTO, and what a gift that we get to pass that along to you. So I do hope that you take advantage of it. It's like handing you this beautiful present, and if you guys don't unwrap it, it sits there, and then maybe someone else takes it. So I hope you take advantage of the gift that it truly is. And Stewart, with that, gosh, thank you so much for being here, your time and energy, and tell us about this card.
Michael comes forth, this beautiful amethyst orb, and the unicorn is saying, come with me. Do you see the head is turning? Come with me into the forest of enchantment. So it's all about the magic that we were talking about. The unicorns are coming back. So come, 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 come. Don't linger over there in the dark shadows. Come into the forest of enchantment. I'll show you great magic. John, thank you so much for having me on. It's always such a great joy to be with you. It's an absolute blessing.
Oh, my heart sings every time we're on together. So thank you so much for, again, just another beautiful and amazing call. And again, the gift to our community here on BTO, and to everybody on the call today. Thank you. You're listening now, listening to the replay. Just, it's so much love and admiration and respect and honor for each individual path that I get to witness and feel on here, and the work that you all are doing. As tired as you may be, or as confused, or as these other things, or as excited as you may be, feed that into the collective, right? When we hit those points of the excitement, the wonder, the awe, give from your abundance, just psychically. As you absorb psychically, absorb the good stuff. We'll be open, we'll be porous to absorbing your light and to spreading that around the world. We will replicate it, duplicate it, and exponentially transmit that for the changes that we're all looking for. So again, blessings and namaste to each and every one of you. Y'all have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.